Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Radical Racing Challenge. I bet you all missed it over week 13. We certainly did. I am Aaron Smith, your host, joined alongside me by Ron Mounds in the commentary booth, and in the production booth we've got Samuli Kumo. And it is an exciting day for racing. We are back here at Road America for what should be a spectacular opening round for sure. 4 mile of absolute heaven, in my opinion. I really do love this track, and my fellow American alongside me, Ron, give us an insight on this track.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this track is racing heaven. It's a racer's dream, if you ask some. A lot of challenging corners, a lot of challenging bends, and a lot of long straightaways too, so there's going to be plenty of overtaking opportunities, especially into turn 1, coming off of that long back straightaway, into a very heavy braking zone where the drivers are going to be hitting upwards of 170 miles an hour going into that turn. Going to be a very interesting race. I think it's going to be an exciting race, but it's also going to be a challenging one too. This is an old school track, not a lot of runoff area, and barely any asphalt runoff, which you see pretty much on every modern circuit. So really an old school track, this, and also very fun.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's one of the more fun tracks on the iRacing service. And speaking of runoffs, there is only really 2 real places where there is a runoff, and we are coming up to one of them now at Canada Corner. And well, if you give these drivers an opportunity to go on a runoff, they will use it, as I'm sure Rafael Blanco will be. There he is.
There you go.
Yeah, you give a racing driver an inch, they're going to take a mile. They're going to use every inch of this track, getting it, yeah, very squirrely towards the end of this lap as he comes around the final corner. That number 1 machine, of course, being one of the top drivers in this series. We're going to see what sort of lap time he is on right now. He seems to be on a decent one. Purple in sector 4 as he crosses the line and goes on to pole position. Yeah. Wow, by half a second. Incredible lap.
Yeah, big margin at a track like this, and saw that low moment of his coming through turn 13. I was going to bring that up earlier. That's going to be a very challenging corner for these drivers. Bit off camber, over a hill, a lot of elevation change. The car's going to get bit of, I wouldn't say a lot of airtime. Well, not going to get any airtime if we're going to be honest. It's going to get a little light coming over the hill. Going to be a very tricky corner for them, and well, hopefully we won't have a crash there, but hey, you never know.
Yeah, we've seen the fair share of crashes, especially last season. It was action-packed right from the word go at Laguna Seca. Very, very incredible opening round. As Philip Van Den now crosses the line to finish his lap. Can he get anywhere near Blanco? He
nearly.
can, yeah, only a tenth and a bit off. We can expect to see those two battling it out during the race. And yeah,
Close,
their
but not close
iRacing,
enough.
yeah, these guys really do provide some spectacular racing. And well, Blanco, as we know, is sort of incident prone, but we'll see if he's managed to iron out those mistakes over the past few weeks that he's had off. But Philip Van Den, not quite pole position, but he can be happy with that.
Oh, I'll tell you what, if he's looking for redemption this year, that's the best way to start the year off.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of how I would have hoped Ferrari would have started in Bahrain, you know, bad end to the season, but as we all know,
Womp, womp, womp.
yeah. Oh, I love being a
Sorry,
Ferrari fan.
that was a big meme, my apologies.
No, I'm used to the abuse from Ferrari themselves. But Blanco not done. He's on another lap and has gone purple in sector 3 and 5. This could be an even better lap as he crosses the line to go another tenth and a half quicker. I think Blanco is on a mission to prove himself after a fairly disappointing last season, and starting on pole, well, at the moment anyway, is going to be, as you said, the best way to do it.
Redemption here at Road America, so let's see if he can have a clean start, firstly, especially at a track like this, and put together another clean 10 laps after the fact.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge, especially with that slipstream from Philip Van Den behind. But we've got a full 24-car grid today. A nice way to start off the season with Rafael Blanco on pole, Philip Van Den Hoek in second place, Myron Iani in third, Felix Samoes in fourth, Robert Woodward in fifth, Ralston in sixth, Reitinen in seventh, Delobelli in eighth, Alamari in ninth, Mike Clark in 10th, Ivan Ramul in 11th, Mendoza in 12th place, Jacob Toman in 13th, Zach Thomas 14th, Zach Fulker in 15th, Tarek Carter in 16th, Gonzalez in 17th, Zinq in 18th, Loseth in 19th, and Bose in 20th place. And then your final few places on the grid, Fekler in 21st, Roberts 22nd, Caparucci in 23rd, and Zyke in 24th place. Got a nice grid here today. It's always nice to get only one split and have every single car occupying the grid spots, as someone pointed out in the chat, iRacing chat, of course, that very varying levels of skill from 6,000 iRacing to 600 right at the back. And yeah, we can we'll really see the difference between the top drivers and those who more race casually in today's race. We've got about 10 laps of this race. Once the lights go green, as Ron very kindly said, and 2.1 strength of field, varying difficulties for these drivers. It's a fairly simple track, but one mistake could easily end your race just like that. And well, Blanco's going to have a tough challenge on his hands, especially with that slipstream down into turn 3 on lap 1. Can he break away? Well, we're going to find out. He is good at the starts, we know that. He has, well, once gone from 5th to 1st, but he starts on pole here as we wait for the 5 red lights to go green. And we are underway here in Road America. It's a very wheel spinny start for Blanco already, and it's all getting muddled
He
up.
had an awful start there. Oh boy.
Absolutely awful start, as Woodward also gets a terrible start. Philip up into first into turn 1 and is already about nearly 8 tenths ahead. That was a horrible start for Blanco. I may have jinxed his very good starts. I do apologize. And that's one car off the road. That's Delobelli, the French machine off the track. Not the way he wanted to start the race at all. He's got a lot of work on his hands. But Philip Van Den then getting a good start and leads out of the first sector.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that for Nanny, that was a woeful start. I think it went from 4th, now he's down in 11th, so Really rough start for him. Bad start for Blanco too, but in comparison, we got cars scattered all over the place. And Annie, oh, right as I was talking about him, things go from bad to worse as he's going back to the pits.
Yeah, that was in the midfield. It's absolute chaos. Cars all over the place. That's Zach Thomas, the 22 off the track, and yeah, all these midfield drivers, as I was saying just before the race started, varying levels of skill, and you are seeing that right now as it was a chaotic start. And that's another car off just before the carousel. That's Lisseth,
Yeah.
number 15, hitting the wall. Can he flick spin it? No. Ooh, that's not going to do him any favors. And that's Reitinen. That's off of the king.
Managed to keep that thing straight. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, just managed to keep it on the track, but he's fallen down to 7th place. He was up in 5th and had a fairly decent start, but the cars behind him having an even worse start, and that's just before Canada corner. That's Gonzalez. What is going on? I think there was another car off
there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 2 cars off. What is going on this first lap? Well, yeah, I mean, we predicted this before the race, but I didn't know it'd be this bad. It's been, oh god.
Yeah, we were saying this was gonna be a race of attrition more than the Nürburgring race. Oh, there we go. Off again. There's
Caparucci, the number 23 off, and this even worse. That's Ramon Mendoza off the track. Is anybody going to be able to keep it on the track this race? The only people who haven't is the top 3, and that's another car off. That's Zach Fulker in the 18. What is going on with these cars? I mean, like we said, we knew it would be chaotic because, I mean, you know, 6,000 iRacing being the difference. But I mean, seriously? Come on, guys. I mean, at least the top, like 5 have kept it relatively clean so far. But wow, what an opening first lap.
Well, you know, I don't work at I don't work high enough up here at Apex Racing TV to kind of be advised of sponsors, but I think we might need a super glue sponsor for some upcoming races to keep these cars on the track. You know, that was, I mean, how many cars going off just in the span of 1 lap? Like 20 maybe? I mean, pretty much the entire field at some point was mowing through the grass. Saw some very scary moments through there. I forget the driver that went off at the kink last lap. I was going to say his car's green, but his pants are definitely brown after that. How he managed to keep that in a straight line, I do not know.
Well, he's going to need a few Marlboros after that one. I do not condone smoking. Do not smoke. But, yeah, I don't understand that. These Radical SR10s, as you were saying, looking more like lawnmowers than anything else. But this second lap seems to have maybe calmed down a little bit. Maybe everyone's getting their crashiness out of their system. And everyone's starting to hopefully calm down a little bit. I can't even tell you how many cars went off on that first lap.
There's another one.
Oh, I jinxed it. That's Woodward off the track.
Boy.
I jinxed it. I thought it was fine. It wasn't fine. And Woodward really, I think he might have just gotten a slight snap of oversteer on that final corner, and that is one.
He's done. That was a very hard impact from him. So
we're gonna get a replay on board. The number 5.
That was a very close moment through there, coming out of turn 13. Then he goes into the turn, bit of understeer there. Then he just hits the curb and just loses it, and bang into the wall.
Yeah, just overcorrected. Yeah, that's a real shame. Not the way he wanted to start his season after having a relatively decent season last time out, having finished pretty consistently until I jinxed him at Brands Hatch, and I jinxed him again today. I think Woodward may not like me after this race. I've commentated cursed so many people in this series. As Samuli will know, I think it was at Brands Hatch as well, where I did one of the worst commentator curses I've ever done in my entire life. But here's Rodney Felker, the Canadian. Oh no, that's, oh my lord.
Oh boy.
Oh, that's someone else off.
There. Oh,
that's
2 cars.
What is going on?
Oh my god.
There's 4 cars off in the space of about 5 seconds. And that's Zincu
all over the place, yeah.
And that's Roberts as well, who excuse me, that I think Roberts was a little bit further back, but yeah, it was Alamari, excuse me, who actually was involved in that. And yeah, these guys not providing the cleanest of races. Oh, don't make it worse.
Boy! Oh no! Oh, nearly 3 wide going into Canada corner. Oh boy, that was. Oh no!
Oh, that was I don't even need to. Oh, have they gone off again up ahead? They have.
All gone off. All 3 of them went off in the span of about 5 seconds there. That is. Oh boy, I think Alamari went off again. Didn't really hit anything from what I saw, but mowed some grass there. So.
Oh, they're going through wide.
Oh boy.
These guys. I mean, I don't know who. Yeah, I don't know who will understand this, but if anyone knows about the Formula 3 race at Monza in 2015, giving me PTSD much? I mean, if this was a real life race, they would have red flagged it, given everyone a bit of a telling off. I mean, come on, guys, you really do need to be doing better than this. Everyone's being so aggressive on these opening few laps. And that's another car off. That's Volker again, off on turn 1. Gonna come back onto the track. He just about got ahead of Jacob, who we saw lock the rear into Canada corner and very aggressively hit the wall. But yeah, these guys still battling. And Alamari...
He's gonna go for a move down into turn 5. Ooh, nearly contact there. He's gonna try around the outside. Oh, he's managed. Ooh, it's still close. Oh, they're going side by side out of turn 5. Up the hill. Oh, he gets the move done.
Yeah, that was a pretty good move. One of the better moves he's made. It didn't involve going off the track this time, so I'm sure he can be happy with that. I think another car. That's Fekler off again. It seems to be the same culprits going off the track over and over again. Not many people below the top 10 able to keep it on the road so far. Actually, below the top 6. I mean, look at that. 8 seconds to 18 seconds. That is just ridiculous. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. And, I mean, I just don't understand it. We're only, well, when we cross the line, we'll be 5 laps in. But, I mean, in the opening few laps, you'd want to be careful. And it just boggles the mind. But, I mean, hey, these guys have kept it relatively clean so far. I've jinxed it again.
Oh, boy. Oh, no.
I need to stop talking.
Blanco. It looked like he was closing out.
For God's sake.
God.
Oh my God.
Oh dear. Oh no.
I should just stop. I should just leave. Like, I'm making this worse.
I mean, I said that I was gonna have to unplug my. Oh boy.
God.
I was gonna say that I was gonna have to unplug my microphone after the last Radical race, round 12 of the first season here on Apex Racing TV. I said that I was gonna have to unplug my microphone because every time I talked, someone went off the track. We've both managed to commentary curse so many people. I think we're gonna have some very strongly worded messages after this race.
Yeah, we've this is the first time I've been genuinely speechless since that Brands Hatch race last season, and I just don't understand. Is it me? Like, every time I open my mouth, you know, the top guys haven't crashed or anything. Blanco goes and spins, you know, and
oh boy, That's a tough break for him too. It looked like he was closing out on the lead there. You could see the two swerving around, going into turn 1, trying to break the draft. Getting close to the back of Rolston here, going through Canada corner. Not quite. He might try and go for an overtake into turn 1, as long as he gets a good run out of the last 2 corners here. Looks like he's close.
Yeah, it looks like he's getting very, very close to that car ahead of Rolston. Of course, we know Blanco has a lot of pace, but like I said at the start, he's just too accident prone, and he was chasing down that lead, probably a bit frustrated that he lost it off the start, and yeah, he paid the ultimate price for it. And well, we hoped that Blanco was able to take the fight this season, but at the moment it seems like those old mistakes of his are just creeping back in. But he's still got a few laps to try and get back up to second place. I think the win is out of the question unless Philip makes some kind of mistake. Which
never know. I mean, yeah, we're only 6 laps in, and we already have Yeah, we have 6 cars.
Oh
Oh,
my-
boy. We already have 6 cars pretty much out of contention, already a lap down, 6 laps in. And, you know, you never know for Blanco. That's a tough break for him, as the saying goes. To finish first you have to finish. And that really rang true for him. It looked like he was going to try and go for it into turn 1. Oh, he's very close to Rolston here. He might try and go for it in a couple corners. Don't go for it in the kink, though. A lot of this field has had Death Wish. That would be like a Death Wish times 100 there.
It's sort of like when people are doing multi-class racing and they think, yes, let me go for an overtake into the kink, and it ends up, you know, going terribly wrong, and they're just like, why? What's the slower car doing? Like, just use your head.
It never goes well. Never goes well. Any car that goes off there, you have to have balls of steel to go for a move into there, and if you just get slightly wrong through that corner, you are in for a world of hurt, as we see Rolston do a half spin. Yeah, that's Blanco up to 3rd now. He's gonna be punching himself there. That's a tough break. As we were talking about going through the kink and having it gone wrong, Ryden, who went off at the kink on the first lap, he's now moved up into 4th. So, you know, as I said earlier, anything can happen in these races, and it's just, you know, if you need.
Oh, that's Tarek Header off the track. Not sure whether, I think that's at the final few corners. Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's at turn 13. Oh boy, this is gonna be a tough rejoin. Okay, man, just keep it clean.
Yeah, I mean, genuinely, I think the only people in this race not to have made a mistake so far is the top 2, Philip and Simoes. Everyone else has made some kind of mistake, which is just incredible. We're 7 laps in, and 22 out of the 24 car grid have at least ventured off the track to some degree.
Oh.
I have no words.
You know, earlier I was going to mention like different parts of the track that I think were going to be a concern for these drivers, as we see Vanique go off again for, that has to be like the 5th or 6th time so far this race.
Ambos has gone off behind as well. That's turn 1, the number 17. These, I apologize to everyone watching this. I mean, I don't know how this is happening. I mean, just keep it on the track. It's not that difficult. You can tell when you're overdriving the car. If you make one mistake, fine. But some of these drivers are making mistake after mistake after mistake. And I mean, I'm just lost for words, man. Like, it's absolutely incredible, the mistakes coming out of this race. And it's entertaining, obviously, but at the same time, it does reach a point where it's like, okay, stop now, please.
It's farcical. Yeah, it gets to the point where it's like, okay, this is too much. Man, I got nothing for this, really. You know, it's.
Don't blame me.
I am at a loss for. Oh boy.
Oh, that's Zakov.
Thomas goes off again. He had that incident, turn 5 earlier, where he took another car with him, and going off again there. So tough race for him. Tough race for a lot of these drivers so far.
Ambo's going off again. I think some people are starting to realize, yeah, maybe this isn't for me, and have quit. As we've got, I think, 5 people. I think someone else has gone off ahead. That's Mendoza in 11th, who's made some kind of mistake. Clearly, Roberts was not happy about whatever Delabelli did in front of him.
I think that was a good overtake from Delabelli going around the outside of turn 13. I mean, I said earlier that was going to be a tough corner for these drivers. Oh, we're going to see Roberts taken again. Go side by side into turn 1. It's a battle last of the late breakers. Who's it going to be?
It's not a very heavy braking zone into the first corner, but yeah, Kadar winning out that one. I think Roberts is getting very frustrated after losing those positions, and that's a car without a front cover at all. I'm not quite sure who that was. I think that's Fekler off in the background once again for, you know, what seems to be the 18 millionth time, and that's Loseth, a lap down. The Norwegian really not having a great race. He's in last of the current runners at the moment. And yeah, just giving way to everyone. I think Toman has also had some kind of off. As yeah, these guys are really, really struggling with this car. I mean, I know it's really understeery and following another car can be a bit difficult. And as you were saying earlier as well, that this track doesn't really leave much margin for error, but I mean, come on, like
Oh,
that reaches.
boy.
Oh, Delabelli's gone off ahead.
Belly. Yeah.
I'm not even surprised anymore. Do you know, like it just keeps happening, and I'm just like, yeah, just any minute now, someone will be in the gravel or off the track, and yeah, we've had more incidents this race than I've ever seen in my life, and we're not even on lap 10, and that's Folker going very slowly, as Alamari, who's had a pretty dreadful race, goes up into 13th place, and the top 3 as well. Only separated by about 4 seconds. I doubt Blanco will be able to catch Samoas in front, as Samoas is putting in some good laps right now, just managing to hang on to Philip in front. But yeah, Philip realistically has been, and Samoas as well, I'd say, actually. They've only been the 2 drivers who have been good this race, to say the
They've been
least.
They've been in their own postal code for a majority of this race. Really clean, no mistakes. In a race like this, it's good to have just 0 screen time, you know? I feel like, knowing the way this race has gone, Samoa's is probably going to go off in a couple corners, so hopefully, cross our fingers, hope for the best, at least for his sake. Oh boy, nearly went off there, nearly went into the gravel. No, I think it's just, what's going on in this race, it's like any viewers have, as we see,
Asphalt
going off again. Yeah. So any viewers that have seen the old British TV show Top Gear back when it wasn't run by people who have no idea how to present a car show, the old V8 blender segment when they blended like raw beef to like Bovril and brick. That's exactly what's going on in this race. It's a combination of aggressive drivers trying to win the first race, a very unforgiving track where if you just go a millimeter off the track, you are done for. Just, I don't know, someone dumped a bunch of oil over the track.
I think you've summed that up perfectly, to be honest. I couldn't have done a better job. That was a pretty good analogy of what's actually happened in this race. Just a blended mess, you know, some bricks, some Bovril, beef.
Foul concoction.
Yeah.
In all regards, a foul concoction has gone on in this race.
Yeah, yeah. And that's Kedar also maybe having some internet problems, or is actually out of the race. I'm not 100% sure, but it is internet problems. Just had somebody confirm that for us. He may suddenly appear Harry Potter style in about 5 seconds time, and if he doesn't, then yeah, he is truly out of this race. Unfortunate. He was going fairly well, but like everyone else, it seems he's made a few mistakes in this race, which has cost him. And I also just want to bring up the fact that, honestly, had you maybe started last in this race and you have made no mistakes, you could easily be inside the top 5 right now. Easily. And I don't doubt that for a second.
Just keeping your nose clean, just avoiding cars like the plague. You know, I mean, we're at the point now where it's 9 of the other 24 cars that started this race have retired or gone lap down, and pretty much everyone outside the top 2 and maybe a few cars throughout the field, like at most 4, gone through this race without an issue. Everyone else has just been sliding off the track, going through the gravel, cutting the grass. Tell you what, the landscaping crews at this virtual version of Road America are not going to be very happy with these drivers, and I can't really blame them.
I think this race would have been red flagged 10 laps ago. You know, I mean, three corners into the race.
Hey, you said many laps ago the comparison to the 2015 Formula 3 race at Monza, where the rest of race 3 was canceled. So the drivers were just acting like, forgive me for saying it, jackasses for the most part. It's kind of like what's going on here, except these aren't open wheelers, and you know, obviously online we're not actually racing, we're not beating up cars. Yeah. The virtual fabricators are not going to be very happy. If we had race directors, they'd probably have sore hands from slapping people on the wrist throughout this race. On the final lap now, it looks like Philip van der Hurek is going to have a cruise to victory unless something goes cataclysmically wrong in this last lap. Knowing my luck, I probably just jinxed him. At about a 3-second
I was about
lead.
to say, I wouldn't say anything, because if you do, he will end up in Road Atlanta by the end of this race, to be honest. And yeah, I'm scared to say anything now, because someone will be in a wall if I say anything. So we're just going to say that the car who is leading the race may or may not win at the end of this lap. There, I can't jinx him. That's the best you're gonna get. And yeah,
I might just unplug my microphone entirely.
just leave.
It's
Go. Let's go commentate on R Factor or something, because
yeah.
we'll probably have better luck there. But I mean, to sum up this, as we come to the conclusion of this race, the top two drivers, you know, if they do happen to watch this race afterwards, and for anyone watching right now, these two up the front have put on a splendid performance compared to the rest of the grid. Yeah, and
Flawless
they
in
really,
a very flawed race.
yeah, they really do deserve all the credit that they're going to get, as Philip van den Hoek rounds the final corner for the 11th time. Then the number 2 driver started on the front row, but not quite in first, led every single lap and wins here at Road America, and sets the fastest lap in the process, as Felix Samoes comes home in second place. Blanco rounds off the podium, as he had a really good shot at victory, but kind of threw it away on the opening lap, and obviously with that later mistake. And the rest of the grid just coming towards the end of this lap now, as Mendoza and I think this is Roberts are still battling it out for 9th place. I think Mendoza was just letting him by there, or maybe it was a tactical move to try and get him on the run to the line, as they are crawling around this final corner. Is Mendoza going to have the slipstream to overtake Roberts? We're about to find out. I think he's just a little bit too far back. It's going to be close.
Maybe. Oh, he's going to go into the grass. Oh, boy. Wasn't close enough.
Yeah, I think he was just a little bit too cautious around that final corner. Maybe had he given it a bit more of a bootful, he could have gotten that 9th place. But nevertheless, the top 10 is still all right. But, I mean, you know, I think the less said about this race, the better. As as I said before, only 2 drivers realistically put in a good performance. Everyone else having some sort of mistake. And, you know, it might be entertaining, of course, but, you know, once you start to think about it, it's a bit, you know, as Ron was saying earlier on, it starts to become a bit too much at some point. And I think some of these drivers really do need to have a rethink and get some more practice in, as, you know.
You know what I will say about this? Bit of an interesting point. We were talking about how the front 2 were pretty much in their own dimension. Well, the top 3, your podium for this race, they were the only drivers to have their fastest lap of the race below the 2-minute 1 threshold. Blanco was at a 2-minute flat 0.8, and Hurek actually set the fastest lap of the race, his fastest lap on the last lap, at a 2-minute 0.4. So even though he had a very comfortable lead, he wasn't taking it easy that last lap.
And just another point as well is it's definitely not the car, because, I mean, no matter what changes they've made, you know, when you're practicing for a race, you adapt to how the car feels. You don't drive beyond your capabilities, otherwise you just cause danger to yourself and other people, whether it's sim racing, you know, pretend race car, or real life. You know, if this happened in real life, you know, you wouldn't see people blaming it on the car, because when you're a racing driver, you adapt to the car you're driving, and, you know, if you don't like it, don't drive it. That's my 2 cents on it. And yeah, maybe the car's a bit difficult to drive. Maybe they've changed it in an update. But like I said, there's not really an excuse for it, as Philip and Samoas at the top had no issues keeping it on the track. So clearly it's possible. I just think some of these drivers need to have a rethink and really get their beep together. But after that little rant, let's go on to a more cheery note and say that Philip van den Hoek wins today's race at Road America with Felix Samaras in second place. Rafael Blanco in third, Rysonen in fourth place, Rolston in fifth, Clark in sixth, Zinku in seventh place, Delobelli in eighth, Roberts in ninth, and Mendoza rounding out your top 10. And everyone else below them finished a minute or more below, which is just incredible. Alamari in 11th, Ramul in 12th, Fulke in 13th, Felke in 14th, Richard Zyke in 15th, Gonzalez in 16th, Zach Thomas in 17th, Jacob in 18th, Loseth in 19th, Kekta in 20th place, Ambos in 21st, Woodward 22nd, Caparucci in 23rd, and Myron Iani in 24th. And well, that was a controversial race to say the least. I think everyone,
I can firmly say that I share one thing with a lot of the drivers in the grid, and that is I probably have whiplash. They got the whiplash from hitting the wall. I got the whiplash from just looking at my screen and seeing like 5 accidents in a row, especially on that first lap. We were thinking it was gonna be a game of, first to see the checkered flag in terms of just actually surviving this race, but no words can describe how chaotic that race was. I think it really just speaks for itself.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I've seen a race that chaotic. And, people may not like what I just said, but, at the end of the day, you've got people on this sim who, race professionally, especially in this, when you've got people in the likes of 6,000 iRating or even more. These guys race at the top level every single race, and they adapt to the car no matter what its issues are. And yeah, maybe the car doesn't drive as well as it used to, or maybe they've messed it up in an update, but like I said, if you can't handle the car, then, and if you don't feel safe in it, you don't drive it. It's as simple as that. And let's hope for more clean racing next week. Let's round this out.
Next 12 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
The next 12 weeks of this series. Let's hope for some more clean racing. Let's hope for some awesome battles at the front. Congratulations to Van der Hoek for a pretty clean, pretty leisurely drive, if we're being brutally honest, to take the victory today. And that should do it.
Yeah, well, it's been a race, I'll say that, here at Road America, and let's hope for some better racing next time out next week. Same time as always, I have been Aaron Smith, joined by Ron Mounds in the commentary booth, and Samuli Kumo doing a fantastic job, as always, in the production booth. And we will see you next week. Take care.
Bye.